Good evening. Welcome to Left, Right and Centre. I'm Vishnu Shom. On the programme tonight, Rahul Gandhi's comment in London that India's democracy has come undone has provoked a backlash, with the ruling BJP accusing him of shaming the country on foreign soil by seeking foreign intervention. Rahul Gandhi had questioned at an event in London why Europe and the US, the defenders of democracies, were oblivious of how a huge chunk of democracy in India had come undone. Rahul Gandhi's comments, do they defame India? Should this have been said overseas, or is the BJP overreacting to all of it in an essentially interconnected world? That's our first debate. Later on the show, at 1/2 the hour, another massive round of layoffs at the Facebook founder Meta. That's expected any day now. This comes just a few months after Meta laid off more than 11,000 people from its workforce. We'll be looking at the crisis in the IT sector in the United States. Remember, many Indians have also been impacted. Why would a boom sector see so many job losses? That's our second debate this evening. But first, Rahul Gandhi's controversial remarks in the United Kingdom, what he said and how the BJP has reacted.
You react if democracy suddenly disappeared in Europe, right? You'd be shocked and you'd be like, oh my God, that's a massive blow to democracy. Well, how would you react if something, a structure 3.5 times Europe suddenly went non-democratic, right? That's happened already. That's not something that is going to happen in the future. That's already happened. But there's no reaction.
अब जब देश की जनता उनको न सुनती है न समझती है और उनका समर्थन करने की बात तो दूर, तो विदेश में जाके विलाप करते हैं। अपने भाषणों में भारत के लोकतंत्र, भारत की संसद, भारत की जनता, भारत की राजनीतिक व्यवस्था, भारत की न्याय व्यवस्था और भारत की सामरिक सुरक्षा सबका अपमान किया।
What would you like London, Paris, Berlin, all the other capitals, the governments and the people to do about this?
No, look, first of all, it's our problem, right? It's an internal problem. It's an Indian problem. And the solution is going to come from inside. It's not going to come from outside. One organization called the RSS, fundamentalist fascist organization, has basically captured pretty much all of India's institutions. RSS is you can call it a secret society. It's built along the lines of the Muslim Brotherhood.
Well, joining us now, Rajdeep Roy, MP of the BJP, Dr. Ami Yajnik, Rajya Sabha MP of the Congress, Smita Prakash, the editor of ANI with us, Neerja Chaudhary, and also Ratan Sharda, author of RSS 360, The Sangh and Swaraj. I'd like to thank you all very much for being with us. Ratan Sharda, let me come to you first. Rahul Gandhi says, and let's talk about the RSS, he says that the RSS idea is similar to the Muslim Brotherhood and that their idea is to subvert the democratic contest. How would you respond to that?
First of all, I would congratulate Rahul Gandhi to have developed guts to question Islamists, to admit finally that the Muslim Brotherhood is a terror organization, because they have no guts ever to call out any jihadi or Islamist organization, either in here or outside. So that is one positive point against him. Negative is that he's just like a crybaby. He talked about not being able to win any election. He has lost all the elections. He had to run away for years together. He had to run away from UP to Kerala to get a MP seat. Their parties have, 14 opposition parties have state governments all over India now to say that there is no democracy. Last day one is Himachal with a handsome margin. They call there is no democracy. Then such a lack of democracy shows that he doesn't know what's happening. Same argument about RSS, because in India, his argument about RSS doesn't run anywhere. Nobody takes that argument seriously. Just gone overseas to hammer the same idea, because they don't know RSS. They don't know Hindutva. So his job is similar to give more strength to dismantling Hindutva, which is a project of New Left and Soros and company, to which he has gone. Now coming to the actual issue whether RSS, Muslim Brotherhood can be compared. Muslim Brotherhood runs on ideology of Islamism, which basically believes that no other religion can exist, no other faith can exist. They can be kafirs, they can be treated as second-class citizen, or they can be enslaved, or they can be killed. We have seen what's happening in Pakistan, Afghanistan, etc. I need not elaborate more. They also fight within themselves. While Hindutva is an ideology which is inclusive, which respects all religion, which says that all of us who stay in India, a part of this land, are Hindus, because it's a geocultural concept. That is two. And what is fascism? Fascism is when Pandit Nehru does the first amendment to the Indian Constitution to stop freedom of press, imprisons people. That is fascism, because that is suppress the voice. Then we have Rajiv Gandhi bringing in, press bill, which was brought down finally because of huge protests from the people. Then we had Indiraji, who actually put the entire nation in prison for 19 months. That is imprisonment. And who fought that particular?
Okay, lots of points.
Just a moment. No. There's a huge point. Who fought that particular emergency and fascism? RSS. 80% of the people who went to prison belong to RSS or allied organizations. They fought for democracy, not these people, not these jokers who are calling today RSS a fascist. RSS was banned thrice. Every time ban was lifted honorably by the courts. It was never, no crime.
Okay,
was
Ratanji, one second. I'm only interrupting you now because I need to, I'll come back to you in a bit. Dr. Ami Yaznik, would you respond to that? That the RSS is not a fascist organization as has been alleged by Rahul Gandhi. Just look at the period of emergency when it was the RSS that fought against those, including those in the Congress, who sort of curb media freedoms.
I think the argument should begin with the statement by Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, and he banned the RSS on February 4, 1948, and was very clear in saying that to root out the forces of hate and violence that are working in our country and imperiling the freedom of the nation and darkens our fair name. So that was the time, 1948. The organization was banned. It was the ban was lifted after quite a long time. So let's not discuss RSS, but the fact is, pick up any institution in this country, and you will find that it's manned by the RSS people, whatever organization that is. But the thrust of the argument or the statement made by Rahul Gandhi was that India, which is the crown of democracy, and that democracy is hit. I think you just can't pick up words here and there and then continuously talk on that. And the BJP has now got a knack of just continuously reacting to these statements, but they will never talk about bulldozers, Kashmiri Pandits, Hathras, Kathua, women's safety. At that time, all these women ministers will be completely silent. And even the honorable former law minister will keep quiet when the current law minister in the parliament makes statements about the judiciary. So I think the BJP is very selective in making statements, has amnesia, very selective amnesia, forgets about the first ban of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, forgets about where it is manning, how it is manning, and how it is supporting the BJP, but never talking about democracy of India. That is the crux of the whole submission which is made. And the world is looking at India. Rahul Gandhi just made a speech, but the world is reading India. The world is watching India, and the world is looking at what has happened to India and why there was never such violence and hate anywhere.
All right.
So how has
trapped
it in India?
Rajdeep Roy, would you like to respond, sir?
Absolutely. In no uncertain term, the ban that was done in 1948 following the murder of Mahatma Ji was lifted by the Congress themselves year and a half later. 62, war against China, yeoman service was given by RSS Swayamsevaks in the Northeast. People from Swayamsevaks from entire country came to the Northeast to supplement the efforts made by the Indian Army. And what was the result? 1963, Republic Day parade, RSS was called to do the parade in New Delhi. Leave those two episodes aside. RSS has done yeoman service in the national scenario. From all the floods to all the disasters, RSS is always there. RSS is always found to be there on the national platform, giving service, helping the poor. And if it has been so fascist, why did you not judge our fascist policies between 2004 to 2014 and did not take action on RSS? From Mahatma Gandhi ji to Pranab Mukherjee. These are the people who are ideologically opposed to the policies of RSS, attended the Vijayadashami meet and spoke at the RSS Vijayadashami function. So with Rahul Gandhi, after 5 generations, someone coming without knowing an iota of what the RSS stands for, what is its ideology, and you come and talk in a foreign platform, you denigrate our country to such an extent, saying that RSS is the one which is ruling the country with its fascist policies. He has forgotten the fact that Article 356 was impounded in India 90 times, out of which 60 times were done by his grandmother, late Indira Gandhi. Now tell me, which are fascist? The elected government of the states were actually disbanded without even given a notice 90 times during the Congress regime. Now look at what is the track record of NDA.
All right, so just 1 second. Let's 1 second. Let's not make this a full election.
Not a single case of implementation of Article 356. Right. And you have the dare this thing to call RSS a fascist.
All right, 1 second. Amiven, I'll come back to you in a moment, but Smita, let me come across to you first. The other point mentioned by Rahul Gandhi is that he was shocked that there was no reaction from Europe on what was happening in India. And of course, he sort of seemed to backtrack to a certain extent when he said that, look, India's problems need to be resolved inside or within India. But was that good enough? I mean, it's like you make a sentence and then sort of say, no, but we'll fix it and we'll find it inside.
That's the problem with Rahul Gandhi. Every time he utters something, he has to put his foot in his mouth.
Yeah,
Smita, go ahead.
So there were many things which were awkward in his in that speech. The thing, Vishnu, is that neither Mr. Iyer, Manishankar Iyer in 2015, nor when he went to Pakistan, nor Rahul Gandhi in England in 2023 can seem to understand that why Europe or America are not disturbed about Modi in office now, and why they're not doing something about it. That they think that any country would want to or should or could do anything about a prime minister who's been elected is something which is kind of bizarre. And we, as a developing country, all of us have lived through that era where we smart under that assumption that these rich countries have, that they can do something about our prime ministers when elected, or our governments which are elected. So it's irritating. So if somebody says that, Europe or America should wake up and do something about it, that's annoying. The other thing which I found awkward is when he said something like, he can speak in Harvard or Cambridge but cannot speak in universities in India. That itself, I don't understand. How did he forget that he was at Stella Marie, I think, or Stella Mary College in Chennai. He was at Mount Carmel in Bangalore. He was at an engineering college in Pune. He was at a college in Kerala where he was displaying his martial arts skills. So he's been to all these campuses, interacted with students. So how did he forget about this when he spoke out there? Then he also said that voices are muzzled. Today itself, Harivansh Rai Singh, the deputy speaker, said that in the 9 years that he's been in Rajya Sabha, this has never happened, that their mics have been muted. So, and his Bharat Jodo Yatra, you've reported on your channel, we've reported, all of us have been reporting wall-to-wall coverage, from the moment he started his Bharat Jodo till it ended, every single day. It's been on social media, it's been on traditional media. And I don't understand where he feels that, he's not got media coverage. So in all these points, I found them not resonating with the people. Okay. Having said that, in our country, we have an outrage a day. By tomorrow, it will be forgotten and there'll be a different outrage again.
In fact, Nija, that was my question to you. Is the BJP, for example, Ravi Shankar Prasad, other BJP leaders making too big a deal of this? He said what he had to say. How does India, with a government as strong as this, absolute numbers, etc., why should it necessarily feel threatened? Why not just take something like this in its stride?
Look, Vishnu, I feel also that, Rahul Gandhi, we in India have the right to free speech. You and I are discussing in very sharp terms. Rahul Gandhi is saying something, others are saying something else, then that's the way it should be. Rahul Gandhi, according to me, has the right to speak what he wants to speak, whether it's in India or abroad. And it's the right of the BJP to react equally strongly, which they are doing, point by point. But the point is, for somebody like Rahul Gandhi, one would have expected a different note to come when he was abroad. What the Congress party saw for the next 50 years after his Bharat Jodo Yatra, a vision for the country, a vision for democracy, while criticizing the BJP on the erosion in the institution, democratic institution. Now, there are the fault lines in our democracy which have to be set right, but it's also, as I say, equally true that it is a vibrant democracy. You and I can disagree openly. I write week after week. You speak day after day. So far, at least, we are not in jail. Some people were sent in jail. Questions have been raised about them. So I think it's been disappointing, and I've been particularly troubled by the note he struck that asking Western nations how can they be oblivious and why should they not intervene in our internal affairs. That simply is not on. We are quite capable inside India to fight our battles. We don't want a foreign power to come and intervene.
Ratanji, what you also spoke about was democratic institutions under threat. Free-flowing conversations have been stopped, right? Democratic institutions under pressure as well. Now, you can disagree with what he's saying, but in a sense, it finds reflection on what the Supreme Court said the other day when it was referring to the Election Commission of India. It did, for example, say that the media was no longer independent. It seemed to suggest that the media parroted a certain line, number one. Number two, reference to the word democracy and democratic institutions was all over that judgment. So when Rahul Gandhi says that democratic institutions are under threat, and we've seen what the Supreme Court has done with the Election Commission, why would one necessarily suggest that he was wrong?
As I said, he was right on one point that Muslim Brotherhood is a fascist and terror organization on which they might backtrack soon, fearing the backlash of Muslims. Now, coming to just one point before I go to your point, Sardar Patel had said before the ban that RSS should not be threatened. They should be part of Congress. He wrote a letter saying RSS should work with Congress. If Patel hated RSS so much, why did he ask RSS to join Congress and work with Congress? So to quote selectively is very foolish, and RSS name was never taken in any of the cases. They had to withdraw the cases. Secondly, when you talk about troubled democracy, I have very strong views about what Supreme Court did about Election Commission, but that is not the point of debate today, so I will pass that out. Because for Supreme Court
the reason I'm asking you this point is that the remarks that he said you can disagree with, and of course you can disagree with the Supreme Court as well.
Yes.
I'm only saying that those views of Rahul Gandhi's in London find resonance in what the Supreme Court said in an order a few days back. Now we all, so we all look at the courts as an arbiter.
There is a strong urge from the courts today to become part of the government by overruling legislature and also parliament. We know that, and executive. There is a struggle going on because they don't want, they want something like 1993 convention to be turned into basic structure of constitution on which you differ. And feeling that there is a pressure, they will speak, judges will speak after they are also human beings. That is one point. Secondly, judges keep on making points, but also judgments are given. We know how NJC was defeated by the Supreme Court, the will of the people. So we should not get into that. I will not get into that today. And Rahul Gandhi has every right to speak. My question was, first he said that why is Europe and US is keeping quiet. 2 days back he said that. Today cries outside. He has got every freedom here. He has won elections. He has lost most elections. His party has made governments in so many states. To say democracy is not working is going against the very grain. And they don't attend parliament. They keep parliament and Rajya Sabha shut. When the answers are given, they move out of the
In fact, Amiben, let me ask you that question. Rahul Gandhi's own presence in parliament, the number of times he's contributed to debates, his actual rate of participation is actually very low for someone who's in the past, been considered the leader of the Congress party, right? So when he complains about democratic institutions not working in India, isn't he being rather disingenuous?
Exactly, and see,
let me just ask Amiben Yajnik that question. Amiben,
first of all, when I made a mention of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, I have given a specific date and his statement. So there is no question of making foolish remarks. It's a very, very substantial statement by the person who's known as the Iron Man of India. So let's
I
not
gave
get into
another
that.
statement.
Please.
I
And
gave another statement. Was that wrong statement?
Secondly, there was
So
never
was that
any
statement wrong?
instance till date that all the remarks made by a certain speaker in the Lok Sabha or a member of parliament are expunged. So this is what is happening. So you take out the participation time, you also take out the data, how much material has been taken out of the speeches of the MPs and how much is expunged. What kind of democracy is that? In the House, do you do this? There are proceedings which are going on, which are being shown to the people, and you take out all those, expunge those remarks, and then you say that the participation is a leader, and let us take the participation of everybody then. All the MPs, you show off all the MPs, he's one of the leaders. All the time you compare Rahul Gandhi, he's not the prime minister of the country right now, and you are talking about, let us go to the prime minister's statements abroad when he said that sharam aani chahiye ki humne Bharat mein janma liya hai. Why don't you have a debate on that? Why don't we have a discussion on that? Why don't we talk? And what is wrong if we talk about the judicial judgments today? One of the speakers here doesn't want to hear about the judiciary making any remarks on that. Definitely the Election Commission's judgment is definitely showing the mirror to the people of this country. The democracy definitely is not showing everywhere in the country. Let's not shut our eyes to that. And that is
Rajdeep Roy, let's look at a couple of...
about attendance, let us talk about the attendance of every MP and also the Prime Minister in the House.
Half a second. This... Dr. Rajdeep Roy, let's look at a couple of other points that Rahul Gandhi said. He says, we weren't allowed to debate demonetization. We weren't allowed to debate on farm bills. We weren't allowed to discuss China's intrusion. And so he's given specific examples on when answers wanted. Amiben pointing out that there have been lots of remarks which have been expunged. There have been MPs who objected to that. But it is a fact. For example, a discussion on the Chinese intrusion has hardly happened. Manish Tiwari, a Congress MP, has pushed so many questions which have just not been answered. So again, where is the democracy? Is he factually wrong?
Look, before I come directly to answer your question, let me put on record straight. The discussion when Mr. Rahul Gandhi spoke on Mr. Adani was when actually he was supposed to speak on the presidential address. Now in the question paper, suppose you are asked to write a note on the horse, you are writing a note on zebra. Do you expect your teachers to give you marks on that? Obviously not. And this is a question of propriety. We're supposed to speak on a speech made by the highest chair of the country, and you did not do so. And most importantly, you spoke on issues with unsubstantiated claim. You had nothing to show except for a figment of imagination which you basically created and just let loose on the floor of the House. Do you not think it is the rule of it is the purview of the speaker to expunge it? It is definitely his duty to expunge. Number one. Number two is that what you say is very important. What you say is very important. The fact that Rahul Gandhi today is traveling all across the country and speaking against Modi ji and his government and everything that he wishes to speak. And then I have seen in 8 years back, he came to the university, which is called Assam University, Silchar. He came and spoke there. And there was a small little girl who asked him a simple question. Other than the Gandhi title, what do you claim to be your political achievement? He could not answer that simple question. He goes on moving to all the universities across the world, saying that the democracy in India has been hurt and democracy in India is under threat under Modi ji. Now let me tell him and remind him that in 2014 and 2019, both the time Modi ji and Bharatiya Janata Party won the election, which was based absolutely on the constitutional rules and values. Now,
on the specific point, we know that, sir. But on the specific point of conversations in Parliament, sir, on the specific points on conversations in Parliament not being allowed, that's what he's referring to, right?
No, I said
you've not really addressed those, because it is a fact that in many of the issues
of the permission that you got, your statement has to be expunged.
But that's not really prevented.
As far as discussing China, I missed one point. Sorry, I just give me 10 seconds to answer them. there is an unwritten law in the country during the days of the then Finance Minister and Home Minister, Mr. Pranab Mukherjee. The issues related to China was not discussed in the floor of the House. That was decided by the Congress themselves during the time of 2004 to 2009. Can that be denied by the Congress and the Congress spokesperson who's sitting here today and speaking on that issue?
Amiven, would you like to reply? The Congress wasn't keen on discussing China?
Where was that and when was that? Today,
between 2004 to 2009.
Every day we are asking about China incursion.
It is there on
every day we are asking about China incursion. Every day we talk about the farm bill.
Sir, the intrusions happened recently.
It was
You're talking about present
and thanks to the BJP spokesperson, at least he is the first person who has spoken the name of Adani. In a presidential address, you can raise any question, you can raise any issue that is affecting the country. So he is the first BJP person who is even acknowledging the word Adani. So he should be congratulated for that. And
this
question,
I will take that address because it was your leader.
Take up any issue, but not a single question was answered. Not a single question was answered. You expunged the remarks. You expunged the remarks.
He did not substantiate its claim. He openly spoke of Adani. He openly spoke of Adani without having any substantive claim. Without having any substantive claim. That is the reason.
And that
all right, one second. Both of you, we can't hear either of you. Rajdeep Roy, let Amiben finish her point.
It is not the job of a politician to get up in the morning.
Sir, you can't shout her down. Just wait 1 second. Let her finish her point. Let her finish her point, and I promise I'll come back to you. I know Smita also wants to come in, and Nija. Just bear with me. Amiben, can you finish your point quickly so that Rajdeep Roy can reply?
Every point is always taken up, and we request along with us other parties also that please give us time to discuss, debate. We would like to bring points to the floor, but it is not give the chance.
Okay, Rajdeep Roy, quickly reply to that. I want to go across to my other panelists.
Demonetization to GST to every issue which the opposition said was given time to, was adhered to in both the houses. Times were given and discussion took place. It is only their their attitude. They come with placards early in the morning at 11 o'clock to disrupt the house, not to allow the question hour to get in. Question hour is something very important for the parliamentarians. You don't allow the question hour. You have discussion. Om Birla ji, where I am a member in the Lok Sabha, Om Birla ji always says, we have time. You give us time. I'll give you time for discussion. Half an hour discussion, under 193 discussion. But they do not, their basic tendency is to grab eyeballs and headlines.
All right, okay, I want to go across to Smita for a bit. Smita, there has been this convention in the past, which obviously doesn't exist anymore, that if you're outside the country, then you don't talk about, internal issues by means of criticizing the government of the day. Rahul Gandhi hasn't followed that. Is that necessarily wrong?
No. I don't think there's anything wrong in that. What is happening is that the Congress is bringing up this issue that if Mr. Modi did it, he brought domestic issues in his visit. So Rahul Gandhi can also do that because it's open season. There I agree with what Nija said, that Rahul Gandhi lives in a free country where there is free speech. He is visiting a country where there is free speech. So both should be allowed. Now, what happened when Mr. Modi said that? Mr. Modi didn't say ki sharam aati hai to say you're Indian. That's not the exact words. What happened was he had gone to Seoul. He had gone to Shanghai also. I think he mentioned it in both these places. He was talking about brain drain. He was talking about how Indians used to leave the country in hordes and, wanting to go abroad because there was nothing really holding them back in the country. And then there are people coming back. In that bol chal wali language, he mentioned this about ki sharam aati thi, about the passport, and used to go. That is what he was referring to. I think that speech I've heard several times over. Now, whether it is in good optics or not, just for an example, that look at what Shashi Tharoor does, right? Now, he talks about political issues. He has differences with Mr. Modi, with the BJP. But when it comes to when he's abroad, he conducts himself with grace. Now, what happened today? Like, there was this one woman who said, which Rahul Gandhi endorsed, when she said, I feel wretched about the state of affairs in the country. Wretched. And what should Mr. Rahul Gandhi have said? And she said that I still hold an Indian passport. This is what I can't understand about some people in the Indian expat community. You're doing no favor by holding the Indian passport. It's totally your single choice, your individual choice. Rahul Gandhi should have said that, yeah, okay, fine, we have our problems in our country, but we will find solutions, which he said earlier. We'll find our own solutions, we'll muddle through. You live in another country, find solutions for the problems in your home country. That would have been the politically savvy thing to do, which Shashi Tharoor does. Instead, he decided to walk the path of Manishankar Aiyar, who had gone to Pakistan, and he moaned about Modi. Now, the thing is that Rahul Gandhi should decide which path he should take, So in politics, optics matters a lot, especially on foreign policy and how you conduct yourself abroad.
Nirja, at the end of the day, Rahul Gandhi said something which is entirely the truth. And that he says that he is shocked that there is no reaction from Europe. That is the bottom line. Rahul Gandhi may disagree, the Congress party may disagree with a lot of things in our country, our democratic institutions, etc., etc. But the West, by which I mean the United Kingdom, the United States, and certainly countries like France and Germany, see India as a bulwark against China. And therefore, whatever internal issues India has, they are quite happy to keep relatively far away from that and not really make too many pressing remarks on that. And so what did Rahul Gandhi actually expect? That America and the United Kingdom would immediately start slamming India? They've hardly even done that for the BBC issue.
Yeah, and the Western democracies are treating India as a big market they don't want to lose. So that is the hard bottom line, whatever else they may think about it. But I want to respond very quickly to the discussion that has taken place. Two quick points I want to make. And one, to say that expunging of whole chunks of the speech was not a very happy incident to happen, particularly in Parliament, where people have the right to say what they want, even if they've strayed away from the subject. Because if they won't have the right to say what they want in Parliament, where else will they have that right? And number two, I want to say, this point that has been made, that Rahul Gandhi is not winning elections, he's not connecting with the people for all the issues that he's raising. But certain fundamental rights in our country, which are very, very precious, should not be contingent on winning elections.
All right. Well, look, I'd like to thank you all very much for joining us. Rahul Gandhi's comments in the United Kingdom have provoked lots of reactions over here. Should we just accept them for what they are, criticism, or do we necessarily need to feel offended? Well, certainly many in the BJP do feel offended. We're going to leave it at that. I'd like to thank you all very much for being with us.